Right. Good morning, everyone. And I was trying to learn how to speak good morning, and probably how is everyone in Vietnamese. I feel obviously. But one thing I try to be keeping my shape. I try to skip my breakfast this morning to look slightly better. So I'm going to excuse myself, make my session short and sweet, sharp, so I can go with my breakfast later on. All right. But I do have a booth in the vendor showcase, one of the ballroom. Feel free to drop by. We definitely can share more about PCI, DSS, what are the challenges that everyone is having. Be it, I believe, every one of you here, someone coming in from the industry, coming in from regulation point of view, someone coming in from compliances, someone coming in from the business perspective, right? So how is this PCI landscape that we have observed, at least at my personal level, at least from the business that we are running in the past 20 years, the evolvement and also the changes of cybersecurity threats in the past 20 years, even up to the recent 2 to 3 years time, and how is these cybersecurity threats has been continuing, giving us a lot of challenges, and how is this PCI has been helping us along the way, right? I have prepared some of the slides and also material, I would say, and which is what do we see in this 2024 payment security scene, and what are we foreseeing in the upcoming probably 1 to 2 years time, right? And we're definitely in the right time when this PCI 4.0.1 has been, I would say, take effective, and it has been making everyone to pay more attention. And how is these requirements and also the required technologies, the required security initiative program that probably in the past that we can still have a little bit of luxury of doing prioritization, what should we be doing? But with the recent security threats and actual incident that we have seen, how is this has become a topic on a C-level table, right? And it become a topic that we should be taking a priority instead of one of the luxury item, right? I'm going to share with everyone in these coming 25 minutes. Right, a quick just agenda of the day, of my session. There will be a little bit of introduction of myself and what are we doing, and then definitely I've spent a little bit more on the actual cases because some of you who may seen me in last year's PCI community event in Malaysia, after the event, there are a lot of people asking me, they were saying that, hey, can you share a little bit more what actually happened if I got hacked? What actually happened if we got really incident, what should we be doing? And not to mention about the security measures, but what were really happening. So I have prepared a little bit of content, some case study. I wouldn't go too much in detail on the sensitive information, allow me to do so. But what I would see here is that what would be the immediate experience that most of these victims, and some of them are actually, we got engaged to do some of the security services after that, and what would be the real scene and when something happened, right? Then we would be talking a little bit on the emerging trends in payment security, what we have been seeing in terms of the change on payment itself before we talk about payment security. So these are the things that we have been observing pretty close in the recent 2 to 3 years time. Right, a quick one. Myself is, I've been working in cybersecurity industry for more than 15 years. And at my own personal level, I have been doing PCI related work for more than 10 years as we speak. Personally, I'm a qualified security assessor and keeping in touch from the very old version until recent version, that's where we work on. At the moment, I still do having some hands-on technical on the ground kind of experience with most of my customers. I'm doing advisory and of course I'm doing auditing as well. And a quick background of LGMS. We are a homegrown company in Malaysia, based in Kuala Lumpur. And currently we are man-strong, about 150 people. About 70% of us are all technical background. We specializing in working on security services only. We do not resell any products, hardware, software. We're only focusing in advisory, auditing, and risk management. Right. Great. 2024 payment security landscape in the recent years, which we have been observing. Yeah. So payment industry growth, global digital payment transactions are expected to grow to close to 2 billion by this year. Shift to cashless, evolving fraud tactics. So these are the few key topics that I would like to share with everyone in this case. And I will pretty much try to combine and link how is this payment industry growth and shift to cashless has become a norm thing. At least, probably I can put a little bit of, day-to-day experience that maybe some of us here has been experienced. Singapore, they have just done, Singaporean, please correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they have just implemented the world #1 or the first one that is doing, what they call that, without passport, you can go through the immigration, my Singaporean friend over here, right? How is this being possible if we talk about this thing like more than 5, probably 10 years ago, and we are talking about identity, right? There are always reasons why a government or a local authorities, they always want to look at your passport, they want to make sure that you are in, you are out, what is your activities in the country, so on and so forth. But with this implementation in Singapore, I think identity, or maybe probably without any hard copy, this is something that, what I call that, the technologies, we are going into a next dimension, right? Which leads to the cashless point of view. In my own personal professional experience in the past many years and some of other countries, we have seen very interesting change, right? We have been in having services, we have been experiencing country whereby fully utilizing cash, all right? And suddenly, without going through a period of time of doing, or so-called having a credit card in the environment, they switch to QR. They switch to a QR Pay, those, what they call that, mobile payment convenience. So this kind of leapt, whether are we talking about the maturity of the particular industry, the maturity of the cybersecurity of that particular at the national level has become a doubt in the early day. And when I say this early day, it was like, I don't know, 4, 5, probably 6 to 7 years ago, right? This is a change in terms of technologies, which is something that it will be very hard to resist. I have always used some very layman example with some of my customers, whereby how many of you are owning a smart TV at home, compared to how many of you using the smart TV at home, right? So it's very different. Some of them, they will just say that, oh, it's just smart TV. I'm not too sure whether a smart TV is being designed in such a way, because I'm not sure. Back to my dad's time, using a Sharp, it will go for 20 years without any problems. But nowadays, if you use a smart TV, if there's something goes wrong, you want to replace a part, you might as well buy a new one, right? The lifespan, I'm not an electronic guy, but this is something that I'm observing. But how many of us has been using a smart devices? This is something that we can't resist anymore, right? We are using QR Pay, we are using mobile payment. Some of my customers, they even try to ask me, hey, Gilbert, you are a security practitioner. Do you use mobile app to make your monthly bill payment? Yes, I do. Do you trust them? I have to, right? So these are the evolving changes, which is in this particular topic or context, we are switching very fast, right? In fact, in Southeast Asia, in this region, some of the payment facilities, or I would say platform, is being integrated in between countries, whereby, as in, Malaysian, I can use my own so-called Malaysian-developed payment application. I can make payment via mobile in Singapore, in China, in Korea, in Japan. So this is the evolvement that we have seen. And the security concerns, the security threats, a lot of topics will start to pop up. We are talking about national level nowadays when we talk about cybersecurity. Evolving fraud tactics has also, what I call it, become essential. You can see that sort of changes in the recent 2 to 3 years. Then let's start off with Vietnam, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, my Vietnam colleagues and friends. Vietnam was one of the very first country in Southeast Asia introduced. If you want to become a cybersecurity service provider in Vietnam, you need to go through the government selection, screen checks, you need to get a license, in short. Yeah? Followed by recent, I'm only talking about 2024, in Q1, Philippines to introduce NSCP, if I'm not mistaken. There is a specific term in governing Cybersecurity Act in Philippines, followed by Malaysia. Recently, it became an act. And some of you who studied the act before, it's all about going to jail. It's all about going to paying, I forgot, the highest was like about 500,000 penalty. That's where my business going up. In the past 19 years, it's very hard for us to deliver the message, the importance of cybersecurity. So all this combination of evolving fraud tactics, evolving fraud cases that usually people would relate to cybersecurity, and with the combination of involvement and also more aggressive at the national level, this is a time that I think PCI is doing a very crucial role in this case. My own personal experience here is that most of the time, my customers and also some of the government people, when they reach to us, right, they always seek for opinion in cybersecurity. And PCIs is one of the common framework that we ask. Gilbert, what do you think for national level for cybersecurity, blah, 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 blah. The second term is that, do you think PCI is one of the good standard or benchmark if a national level would like to study and trying to adopt? It's become a common topic nowadays. So it is nothing a surprise when PCI has come to a picture, not only at the business level, but also at the national level. At least this is my own opinion at the moment, based on my own observation. So of course, why is this become a hot topic in the past few years? I have prepared a few, case studies, but all these case study, right, mainly is because of these three, story, I would say. Phishing attacks, everyone know about this phishing attack. I believe in PCI DSS, the latest version, we also emphasize a lot, how should we tackle or address the threats of phishing attacks. Malware and ransomware, we are no strangers for these terms nowadays. Whereby if we talk about 5 years ago, people will still thought that ransomware is different thing compared to a malware. Well, actually, ransomware is just one type of ransomware is just one type of malware. Then we talk about data breaches. Data breaches is somehow, based on my own opinion again, data breaches has somehow relates in between personal data and card data, right? At least for some of the cases that we are handling, people will always have two questions for me when they got breached. I'm talking about a real breach now, right? When they engage me, they say, hey, Gilbert, I have something wrong. Can you come over and take a look? Okay, I went there. They said, I have this problem, blah, blah, blah. They're showing me some logs. So I take a look at it, all right, good. I used the wrong word, I said good. Then I said, I'm sorry. But what I mean here is that there is this personal data got breached. What is your legal involvement over here? What are the local authorities that you need to answer to? They give me a lot of answers. Then I say, what about card data? You deal with card data, right? They say, yes. Okay. Any breach? They spend about another 3, 5, some of them even 2 weeks, come back to me, oh, luckily nothing happened. Good. Now I'm going to congratulate you. Right. Then we deal with different issues. However, this kind of alarm and alerts give them a real dimension. What is actually data breach could lead to them. Because a breach in personal data, giving them a wake-up call. How should we deal with card data as well? And again, personal data is also pretty aggressive in most of the Southeast Asia country nowadays. At least in Malaysia, there is another new draft, a latest draft of Personal Data Act that is going to be implementing somewhere end of the year. It's already gone all the way up to the parliament, right? So these data breaches, these actual cases that we have seen in the past many years is actually none other than generating, or I would say, caused by phishing attacks, caused by malware, caused by ransomware, and different type of data breaches. So example like airline, right? Airline, retail, even recently, I have observed some of the cases whereby they are household company, but they are huge. They have a very good presence in entire Asia, and it's pretty new case. I can't name them. There is this hospitality as well. These are the real cases that has been happening in the past many years, and they are actual effort that you will need to require. If you're coming in from end user perspective, you wouldn't want to experience how would you deal with an actual incident all the way coming in from responding to the particular cases. I give a very quick and simple example. I use back the Cybersecurity Act in Malaysia that recently implemented. They have, for any cybersecurity incident, the government is enforcing 6 hours of notification, which means within 6 hours, you will need to write down what happened, how does it happen, how you going to deal with it, all within 6 hours. Without able to give a report in 6 hours, someone is going to be responsible for it. Then we talk about a jail, then we talk about penalty. That's only the first checkpoint. You will have the second chance, which is within 14 calendar day, not working day. Within 14 calendar days, you can add on appendixes on what happened to the particular cases. And I believe not only Malaysia that is using this act, the rest of our countries in Southeast Asia or in Asia, incident response, cybersecurity incident management has become one of the very common topics, how well we deal with the particular cases, right? So these are just some of these actual cases in the past few years. Some of them are pretty high profile, whereby, example, if it's a logo in Malaysia, somehow my customer in Cambodia, my customer in Philippines, my customer in China, they will ask me about it. Hey, Gilbert, what happened with that logo? Is it your customer? That's the most fierce question that I ever got, right? Right. There is also another breach case study that, again, is we are no longer living in a time whereby only the banks will got targeted, only the telecommunication company will got targeted. There are way more other industry or businesses that will be targeted as well. Not to mention whether is it really just only a card-related purpose. When we talk about in security industries, people may want to, when I say people, which is the bad people, the hackers, or in the dark web, when they're trying to have a targeted attack, they may not know what they want at first. It could be personal data, it could be business data, it could be card data. One of the very classic business-related kind of case data, which is in the past few years, we all know that 5G is a thing, right? 5G, and in some country, a lot of telco they need to bid for the 5G license in the country. So one of these telco, I can't name them. Of course, it's better that I avoid the country name as well. One of the telco who are bidding for the first license that is going to be assigned by the government, they got a breach. They got a data breach 1 day before the result announced. And it announced at the local time somewhere 1 a.m. plus, right? I know the CISO as a friend, and she's the last one that got to know. It's 1 a.m. She's the last one. When she woke up around 6 something, just another day for work, there's tons of messages that she need to read. Messages from the bosses, from the C-level, from the board, and majority of them is from her vendor. Everyone asking what happened. And ending up, the entire assignment of the 5G license a few years ago got delayed. Right? It's a business thing. After that, there's a lot of speculation, conspiracy, whatever happened. So this is just giving us an indicator by someone want to trying to hack you. In my own saying, we don't need reason anymore. The bad people don't need a reason, right? In fact, there's a lot of techniques. If someone were trying to hack you, if someone trying to want to launch a certain targeted attack, they may not want to say targeted attack, it's phishing. And there are a lot of technologies that you would like to explore more probably after this, is that I can write a simple script, I can go for a holiday, I can go for a lunch, I'll come back and see who got fish. Then only I continue my work. It can be as simple as that. Probably about 5 to 8 years ago, you will start here saying that, oh, my kid can learn Wi-Fi hacking through YouTube. It's true, 5, 8 years ago. Now, it is also true that you can be a hacker through a lot of free sources and online sources as well. That's how easy access is it when it comes to cybersecurity attacks. Yeah? So all this case study has actually, we're trying to combine all this experience. Probably because of LGMS, in our own company, we do have a digital forensic lab. So when we having this hands-on experience on working on all these victim cases, we're trying to find out the root cause. The root cause coming in from technical perspective, business perspective, employee readiness and maturity perspective. That's where we try to put a lot of puzzle into one picture, right? So in this case, prioritizing your robust security, we talk about password policies, MFA, regular security audit, strict access control, employee awareness training, third-party risk management. Allow me to spend 30 seconds about third-party risk management. It's a joke, 30 seconds I won't be able to complete. But this third-party risk management has become crucial. For some of you who are from end-user perspective, you may somehow, at a certain degree, you work with third-party, right? Probably a company who help you to implement cloud. Example, just a very simple example. But do you understand or do you know how is your cloud system integrator is preparing your environment with your knowledge? What are the data information that this third party is actually prepared for you, and how do they prepare for you? So these are the things that we should be knowing, and we do have the rights to know, right? There is this very actual case in Malaysia, whereby the company is basically almost, I would say 99% outsource the entire IT services to a SI. They got breached. The whole company do not know what happened. At first, the IT outsource company, or I would say the SI, the system integrator, they do not know what happened as well. Until after 3 weeks, it only found out that one of the engineer on the ground preparing the whole transition to the cloud opened up a channel, or I would say a protocol, just to back up the customer data without his own superior knowledge, definitely without the customer knowledge. And the justification here is that, oh, just in case the customer environment down and the cloud is down, we have our own environment in my company, assuming that I'm the SI, right? In that case, the whole root cause is that company got hacked, they got incident, and their customer data got leaked out. Unfortunately, the victim has to pay a sum of, I forgot, I think it's about 800 or 900,000 penalty because they are regulated. It's a regulated company in Malaysia. So knowing who is your third party, especially someone who have access to your data and information, is crucial. Yeah, right. Emerging trend in payment security, I believe that I think it's increased adoption, buy now, pay later, a lot of conveniency in your financial management. Payment security technologies, there's a lot of involvement. I'm pretty excited, because when we see there is a lot of very intact or in close contact between PCI DSS and the whole cyber world, together with the security technologies, processes that is follow aligned. Because without a combination of, I call it PPT, not PowerPoint, people, process, technology. With the combination of PPT, that's the only fundamental on how can we make PCI DSS compliance in your journey will be smoother, right? There is no way that can we purely rely on people, only on processes, or only on technologies. It has to come together. Of course, with the PCI DSS 4.0.1, there are even more interesting topic that everyone, especially from end user perspective, that we can continue to explore. At the end of the day, combination of these three angles will be the only success factors to get your compliance, right? Regulatory changes, compliance challenges, these are the pretty much that we have to work with. I mean, in your own respective industry, in your own respective countries, working with your local regulation, with the involvement of PCI DSS, that's where the topic and messages can be delivered. We have been observing and involved in the change in the past few version history of PCI DSS. We do see that there are a lot of information has been, I would say, converted and also being translated and delivered to the council, and that's where it can tag along between PPT and the council themselves, right? Okay, strategies for business. So if today we are here, what I call that, if you are already embarked your PCI DSS journey, you are going to embark with the PCI DSS journey, I believe that the first thing first is the continuous awareness training, right? Awareness training, probably don't get me wrong here, is that awareness training is not just a training whereby you get a group of people, go into the classroom, go to an online class, sit for 30 minutes or 1 hour, then you are good. Probably way more than that. Awareness training here is definitely to, what I call that, having a regular briefing or regular chit-chat, even sessions, that we have to blend in a cybersecurity as a day-to-day thing. If I would probably put it a more descriptive, I would say that we have to become one of the DNA, right? We can't expect that everyone in your company is IT savvy people, right? There are people from the finance, from HR, from legal, that for them, turning on and off laptop for them is a great achievement, right? But security in terms of awareness, what to do, what not to do. If you're not sure what's not to do, what's too suspicious, will you feel something fishy behind certain activities? So employee awareness training or continuous training is something that is critically important, especially if for some of you who is implementing or maybe upgrading your compliance to 4.0.1. Yep. Of course, leveraging in some advanced technologies. From time to time, we have seen development and big improvement on how the bad people in the dark web or in the dark side is leveling up their game, right? And in other side, on the compliances or combating against the security incident, we have to playing up with our game as well. I give an example. How many of you do buy stuff online? Put down your hand. You can put down your hand if you're buying stuff online, no matter what. Yeah? I know one of the big player in Asia, their HQ is in Singapore, you should know who. Their fraud department is having a man strong of 400 over people. 400 over people. Just to make sure there is no fraud transaction. That's number one. Number two, do you still experience fraud on and off? Suddenly there's a transaction, no, I didn't buy anything. The first suspicious come into your mind, my wife. No, I didn't buy anything. No. Then you suspect your kids. Did you buy anything? No, Dad, I didn't buy anything. Fraud still happened. A man strong of 400 over people. By the way, this statistic was 2019 or 20 when I was having the conversation with the CISO. And he said the team's still going strong. With a lot of technology in place, they have about few hundred people just to combat against fraud, right? So with the people and with the advanced technologies and of course with processes, I think we're on the right track. Yep. Right, just nice. I have 1 minute. Thank you very much, everyone. I think first thing first, I would like to say thank you to PCI Council. I think having me on stage, having us in the booth to share our experience, to share our know-how, and of course to observe more information from everyone in the community, I think is very important. Because personally, I've been doing cybersecurity practice for more than 15 years. I've been doing audit in PCI for more than 10 years. I used to become from a purely assessor point of view, but the more you go along the journey, it's actually effort with the assessor and your users. That's very important. I think that's how we in the community and also for the council benefits, we can continue to improve, right? Okay, I hope that I have given a bit of insight, a bit of sharing. Thank you very much for your time.